Next up on WTV, an insight into the tragedy that struck over spring break. WTV's Daily Update starts now. Good morning, Red Hawk Nation. Today is Tuesday, March 19th, and I'm Kasey Harvey with today's Daily Update brought to you by Wingspan TV. Tragedy struck once again over spring break. WTV's MOSQUE Matus has the story.
Days later, and thousands of miles away, the impact of the mass shooting at 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand, that killed 50 and left another 50 injured, is being felt on campus. The alleged shooter, Brenton Harrison Tarrant, has been charged with murder. Prior to the attack, Tarrant sent a lengthy 87-page anti-immigration manifesto via email to the New Zealand Prime Minister's office, but officials didn't have enough time to act on it. Freshman Zain Rahmani was in Saudi Arabia for a religious Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca at the time of the shooting.
This was such a big event because there have been mass shootings before, yes, but this was kind of the biggest thing for all of us Muslims, that it made us realize just how serious it is. And it was really heartwarming to see how many actual people who aren't even Muslims were supporting all the Muslim families where families died. And it was just an absolutely amazing thing to see. I wasn't there at the time. I was at a religious pilgrimage, but during that time, while I'm watching these news stories and stuff, I see all these people who aren't even Muslims holding signs, shaking hands with people, going in there, helping out. And it's just amazing to see how much that the shooter actually helped the Muslim situation, because he actually made all these people sympathize with them and realize what the problem is and why they shouldn't be against them.
For fellow Muslim Junior Shoaib Javani, the tragedy of the shooting will hopefully spark a great sense of community.
I think the New Zealand shooting was a pretty bad terrorist attack. I feel like it was very evident that there was some white supremacy going on, and it kind of affected the Islamic religion everywhere and not just in the area that was affected.
How did it impact your family and your community?
To me and my community at the mosque this weekend, we actually had a gathering, and there were actually a lot of white families that came to support us and tell us that they were sorry for our losses and everything. So it was actually a very good bonding moment within our community. I think the stereotypical reasoning for people is still going back to 9/11, obviously. But I think that we are a peaceful and humble community that has the same values and ethics as everyone else does, and that we shouldn't be treated differently. There should be more community gathering between interfaiths and intrafaiths to kind of allow a conjoining process between the two and eliminate the stress in between multiple religions.
New Zealand officials have spoken out against the violence and are in the process of forming new gun regulation laws. While New Zealanders are rallying together to support Muslim families and are hosting vigils in remembrance, some students, such as senior Wade Glover, try to make a difference in his own way.
Any attack on a group of people or a person based on their religion, something that they believe in, something that they can't control, some aspect of themselves, is heinous. And what happened in New Zealand is just another example of bigotry turned to violence. In the days after 9/11, a Muslim woman walked into my church and handed my pastor flowers and said, "We are not all evil." And every year, maybe every other year, my pastor repeats this, and he says that this story had an impact because this woman felt compelled to come in and share that her faith was not responsible for these actions. And I remembered this story Friday morning when I was hearing about the event in New Zealand, and I just felt compelled to do the same thing. I got flowers, and I drove to the mosque in Plano. It's the Islamic Association of Collin County. And I walked in and handed the flowers to the president of the mosque and just said, "I'm sorry." It wasn't... Even though it didn't physically affect Muslims in Plano, Frisco, our community, it definitely has kind of a mental and emotional toll. I mean, people that share their beliefs and people who believe in the same God they do were being targeted for those beliefs. And that's just completely unacceptable. And I remember, you know, it has had a huge impact on my pastor that someone went out of their way to drop off flowers after a tragedy and say, you know, I'm sorry. And I hope it had just as great of an impact, and I hope my actions contributed to some kind of healing.
Reporting for WTV, I'm Minuki Matus.
The recent college admissions scandal is shining a huge spotlight on the process of applying and getting accepted to colleges and universities. This morning, parents have the opportunity to learn more about the college admissions in a meeting at the District Administration Building. WTV's Vivek Sundaraman has the details.
Admissions are a big concern. The meeting will cover many topics, including determining college fit, choosing a major, specifics of the admissions process, and returns on investment. This session begins today at 11:30 in the boardroom of the Frisco ISD Administration Building. Reporting for Wingspan TV, I'm Vivek Sundaraman.
For decades, many Major League Baseball stadiums featured artificial turf, but over the years, the number has dramatically dropped, with just 3 stadiums currently using it. However, as WTV's Walker Shippey shows us, 3 Frisco ISD schools are going to switch from grass to artificial turf.
Reedy, Independence, and Frisco high schools will soon be home to the district's 3 new baseball fields featuring artificial turf. One reason for the switch to turf: North Texas weather in late winter and early spring.
Going back to last week, we got rain on Tuesday, and then we had to practice indoor not only Tuesday but Wednesday as well. If we had turf, we would have been able to get outside and get a full practice. Also, it would help with sub-varsity. When we get rain, sub-varsity typically goes home at the bell because we don't have enough room for them to practice. So if we had turf field, we could hold a normal practice on the field, and the sub-varsity kids would get, you know, more time to work out.
Players see switching to artificial turf as a good investment to minimize rainouts and field maintenance.
It would be much easier because currently we have to do a ton of stuff like get all the tarps out, we have to rake out the cuts, we have to hula hoe whenever extra grass starts growing on the field. So yeah, it would be a lot less work. And on a turf field, honestly, I don't even know what we have to do. Probably just like make sure it's not torn up or something like that.
Although rainouts and maintenance are a significant factor in the move to turf fields, the artificial playing surface improves the quality of play for junior Travis Waggoner.
I think it's just overall easier because you get a competitive advantage in the workplace. I mean, the turf, it's pretty uniform and it's flat, so it's predictable where the ball is going to bounce. And even on our field, that's pretty smooth dirt. It can still take a bad hop and you're going to miss it. So I think overall it's just easier to field on turf.
Although upfront cost and installation time is high, maintenance is minimal.
There are some maintenance that, you know, you got to continue putting black pellets down and the rubber down and brooming it in, but you know, the maintenance is far less than it would be on a grass field. You know, it's maybe after a game you do the pitcher's mound and the batter's box, it takes 10-15 minutes, whereas, you know, we have to broom and sweep and water and hula hoe and edge and you know, all the time. You know, after a game, when we're done, it takes us 30 to 45 minutes to, you know, take care of the field. If it was turf field, you guys would be straight in the weight room.
Independence, Frisco, and Reedy high schools will have their turf fields installed this summer, with future schools potentially added down the road. Reporting from WTV, this is Walker Shippey.
If you are looking for more from Wingspan, you can follow us at Liberty Wingspan on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, or visit our award-winning website, libertywingspan.com. WTV's Wade Glover has today's announcements.
Prom tickets are now on sale on My Payments Plus. If you are bringing a non-Liberty guest, please fill out the form that is attached to My Payments Plus. All guests must be under 21 years old. Students can sign up to take a practice SAT on March 23rd or a practice ACT on April 6th for $10 each during all lunches this week. NHS is hosting a college admissions panel discussion with 7 seniors who have applied to schools across the country. All students are welcome. The panel will be held after school in the lecture hall on Wednesday and on March 27th.
That's it for today's Daily Update.